What's happening, y'all? Sorry, we were running a couple minutes late. I was getting wine. Brady was having to pick up his AirPods. Welcome, crew. I'm glad we're joining you. Sunny in Seattle. How are you, brother? How are you, Brady?
Hey, dude, I'm not doing too bad. Yeah, I left my AirPods at the office today and just realized it 15 minutes ago. So I had to get up there real quick, get the AirPods, and get back to the house before we were trying to go live. So it's been hectic. Been traveling a lot this week. Spent a little time down in Indy. Went to St. Elmo's on Monday night. If anybody's ever in Indianapolis, you got to check out St. Elmo's and the shrimp cocktail. I think it's some of the best in the world. And played a little golf and got a lot of work done. So, hey, it's like the Belmont just happened and then my life got crazy work-wise and now we're talking horses again. So how about you, brother?
Yeah. I'm good, man. It's I was just telling you, we were chatting for a second. Like, I have not really been into playing, and I know a lot of people know that. I talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm feeling it again a little bit. I'm like halfway there. I'm actually probably 100% there because, as Michael just said, there's a $260,000 pick six carryover at Belmont tomorrow. Like, I mean, I'm kind of hoping this thing carries over into Saturday. I don't think it will, but it almost paid the whole pool today. It was like 500 and some grand. But this one horse got up last minute. But I'm good, man. It's sunny in Seattle. Like, I can't complain. Like, work's a little bit crazy, but I'm excited to start playing again. I haven't been playing very much.
Yeah, me neither. I ever since the Belmont race went off, I haven't played a race yet. Kind of took a little bit of a break, a hiatus. It's good to it at certain times. And I'm really looking forward to the summer at Del Mar and Saratoga. So, for a while for me, I think I'm going to be watching a lot of races, pretend handicapping, maybe not putting the bankroll forward like we were, through the Triple Crown season and earlier on in the year, just trying to learn and see who's going to be really ready to go later this summer. And then get ready to start hammering tournaments and get ready for the NHC. That's the next thing on my mind here in the next 2 months is to prep and get ready for that as best we can. And so, yeah, dude, I don't even have to bet on a race to feel involved. So, but how about that?
That's good. That's good. Go ahead.
How about the Belmont card? I mean, that card was loaded. I was disappointed to see some of the scratches. Like, I really wanted to see Swiss Skydiver go throw it down with Latrushka and She Dares the Devil. That was unfortunate. We had some chaos in the turf races. How about that Charlie Appleby duo that went 1-2? And the exacta, I think, only paid $41. And so,
Yeah.
you have like what was it, a 7-1 over a 7-1? And the exacta only paid that much. It tells you a lot of people hammered those connections. And when they ship over here, they mean business. I think they beat three Chad Brown horses because Blowout scratched. But my buddy Eric had Anthika on top, of course. One of the most disciplined bettors that I know. And yeah, let's talk about some of these races. They're fresh in my mind.
Yeah. Welcome, Oldie. And yeah, I wanted to needle Oldie about Nick's go, but it's I couldn't really needle anybody because a lot of my picks were not spot on. But yeah, he didn't want to go one turn, which we talked a lot about. But welcome, Oldie, Cindy, Keith, John, Michael. I'm glad you're all here. Like, it's just a great Thursday. But yeah, why don't we talk? So, I know we talked a lot about Latrushka and She Dares the Devil, and Latrushka showed up, right? And she meant business and showed that she's the real deal after beating Monami Girl and just took it to She Dares the Devil, who didn't even ended up third. Bonnie South, Scotty Longshot got up for second.
Yeah, this race, I mean, she controlled it on the front end. And kind of the theme of the day was the Irad Ortiz mounts won like 5 races. And so Jose got a couple of them. I think Pratt got a couple of them. And so it just shows you how light his mounts were. And if he would have been riding and healthy, he would have had a heck of a day. I mean, you got to think he would have won those 5 and maybe one more. So I think Latrushka has earned the respect finally. I mean, I still think that there were some people, including myself, that said, okay, maybe last time was a fluke against Monomoy Girl. That race had to take so much out of her. but man, she just got on the front end, controlled it. I expected a lot better of an effort from She Dares the Devil, but it's Latrushka's a little bit later on in development. She Dares the Devil had a great 3-year-old campaign, and when these mares are one's going one direction, one might be going the other. I don't think that She Dares the Devil's done by any means, but I think Latrushka proved that she's the best in the business right now.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to see where she shows up next. She's been on quite the tear. I mean, you go back all the way to the fall at Belmont, and didn't run great in that grade 2, but has been on the tear since then. Grade 3, grade 3, grade 2, grade 1, and then shows up here and wins back-to-back grade 1s. It looks like Oldie has a comment there.
Yeah, and I totally agree with it. I tweeted this out the morning of the Belmont. I said, hey guys, Rosario has 4 mounts that are the speed of the speed, and he did not break hardly any of them. I mean, he had Bound for Nowhere. He had Nick's Go. He had Rock Your World. He had Jackie's Warrior, and Jackie didn't break. Nick's Go broke, but like you said, Justin, going one turn. He didn't break Rock Your World again. And so, I mean, if that's true about Rosario having a shoulder injury, I know he was back riding this week too. So, he hasn't taken any time off. I think it's a timing thing for Joel. He's so comfortable coming from the back of the pack. And so he usually doesn't have to break, especially in some of these turf races. Karina's got a great comment. He was literally bound for nowhere. I see what you did there. That's awesome. And then Giroux, he really didn't do much either. I mean, it was kind of disappointing. And when we handicapped this card, I played the contest thinking it was going to be very chalky. And sometimes these big days can be like that. But, I was all in on She Dares the Devil when it came to the contest. And so when I saw her flip up from like even money to 8-5, I'm like, uh-oh, what did Latrushka go down to? And Latrushka was 6-5. So I knew that all the late money was coming in on the 3, and I was out of the contest when the 5 lost. And unfortunately, I didn't get to my strongest opinion in domestic spending. The plan was to go all in domestic spending over Gufo, which still wouldn't have hit, but came close. But hey, that's why they run the race.
Yeah, the 8th, I played a couple races. I did not play a lot, but I did play this race because you and I both liked Regal Glory, who did not break well, and Ortiz had her wide. I don't know if she was winning, even with that. I think, I thought she was actually going to come. Like, Jose finally let her go, and she was wide, but she didn't have it in her, I think if she breaks well, I think she's one to watch. I think, especially watch where Regal Glory shows up. I mean, this was a grade 1. You have the 2 overseas horses you mentioned that came 1-2. She didn't break well, and I think it probably cost her the race again. I don't know if she would have won, but I was bummed. I thought she had a great shot there, but it was a nice turf race. And I thought, I don't think we talked a lot about Daddy is a Legend, but when I ended up looking at this race a little bit more, I thought Daddy is a Legend might run well, and she ended up doing what she placed 3rd. So, what are you going to do? I mean, it was a nice turf race, though. Always Shopping showed up here. We talked about that. I did not like that. I don't know if they did that because of the turf on Friday, right? I think the rain came. I can't remember when it came, but she was already scratched. But I'm wondering if they scratched her because of the turf. She's not meant to be with this grade 1 company. And I would have so much liked to see her run Friday. I really liked her in that race, but didn't happen.
Yeah, 2 things about Always Shopping is she's more like the very good grade 3, soft grade 2 field type, but going a mile, that's way too short for this horse. Always Shopping wants to go 11 or 12 furlongs, and she's proven that. And so I'm not sure, and questioning Todd Pletcher a little bit with the tactics because of I thought there could have been a better race that she could have entered in. But yeah, hats off to the Appleby and him shipping these horses over. They were the real deal. And for a second, I thought Louis was maybe just going to take it on the front end with Summer Romance, and he was the original Scotty Longshot. But this was a 6-horse race for me. I mean, I didn't. You know, you got 3 Chad Browns. You've got that Zofel horse. You've got Always Shopping. Tama here, I'm done with. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the 10, and I just think she's had the last 3 tries and just hasn't really come up with much. You know, to me, just a little bit overhyped of a Chad horse. But you know, and then we really didn't get anything out of Pocket Square, who was the post time favorite, and so didn't fire there. Who knows? Maybe it's a Lasix issue. That's what maybe the first thing that popped in my mind. And somebody made a good comment earlier on a podcast last week about these European horses coming over that are used to not running on Lasix. And then our horses get into the graded stakes company and run without Lasix, maybe for the first time. Huge advantage of the Euros. And I would watch that the rest of the year, especially when we get up to Saratoga and if some Euros are shipping over, or maybe even for the Arlington Million. But I'm not sure if anybody's stopping domestic spending there. But yeah, this was just a tough race. And if you had the Euros, your hats off.
Yeah. And, you know, Oldie, I didn't see who Cox has been using. You know, Cox was using Rosario, if I remember correctly, but it sounds like you're saying he's even going elsewhere when Flo's not riding, when he used to always have Flo ride. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Here's CP. Mike Smith.
Yeah.
His only mount was the Appleby horse. So.
Well, very nice. I mean, good for CP to catch that. Yeah, and I think Brett Fletcher did not necessarily have horses that ran well. Silver State, Asmussen Santana came and showed up. You know, we talked a little bit ago. Nick's go doesn't want to go one churn, which, you know, I think you know, and we talked about this. We looked back here at that Keeneland race and ran second in a 70. That was my, you know, and it was one race, but this, you know, when you think about the speed there, it's going to be different with speed like that, trying to just go one churn versus 2 churns. It's not the same thing, even at 8 furlongs. So, anything else on your end about this one? Bobby Sanders ran a great race. You know, I know we talked about him and, you know, ran well, but Silver State actually got the best of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I hammered an exact Knicks go over by my standards. Just had the wrong horse on top, unfortunately. I thought by my standards was maybe not a win contender, but somebody who was going to come in underneath and run his race. I mean, overall, this was a pretty weak Metropolitan Mile based off of recent history. But one thing we've got to admit is that Ricardo Santana and Steve Asmussen own this race 3 of the last 4 years. You know, you have Matoli, Silver State, and then I forget who won it 4 years ago, but I believe that was Ricardo and Steve as well. And, you know, hats off to them. They figured out how to win this race, and Silver State's now won 6 races in a row. He doesn't do it impressively. He just hangs on, you know. He wins by a neck, a head, a half a length, you know, and so there's something about a horse that just gets it done, you know. Bricks and mortar to the law type of horse, and you know, he was definitely a player. He wasn't the first or second choice on my list, but you know, I overlooked him, and he was the top GSR winner.
You know, and that's quite, you know, it is tough to, if you look at this horse and lightly raced, I mean, but look at that form, you know, not a lot of layoff time, 6 in a row from back-to-back allowances, 2 nice stakes races, a grade 2 and a grade 1. I mean, how would you like to be Stone Street? Or I guess it's Winchell Thoroughbred. Stone Street was the breeder, but like that's pretty sick for a horse to go on a run like that over a 6-race form cycle. I'll be curious to see what they do with Silver State, if they're going to lay him up for a bit, if they're going to ship him up to Saratoga, or what the plan is. I haven't heard. And Oldie says, well, I admit Dr. Post is trash. I don't know if Dr. Post is trash. I mean, should Dr. Post be competing at the grade 1 level? Well, probably not. I mean, but again, I wouldn't say Dr. Post is trash. I mean, when you look at a horse running in graded stakes. So that's just my 2 cents, Oldie. Like, I just don't think he is trash, but we'll agree to disagree. All right, we'll cruise through this so we can get to the Belmont. So we talked a little bit about domestic spending. Just shows that he's the class of the class in the turf division. I mean, we saw that in that last race on Churchill Day, right? I think that's when that was, and with the dead heat, and showed up and just rolled right away. And I was with you. I had domestic spending over Gufo, and Gufo couldn't get up. That was disappointing, but what are you going to do?
He really appreciated the extra distance. Going 10 furlongs, going a mile and a quarter, and he passed the test with flying colors. He got some help with the pace setup, but at the end of the day, this was by far the best horse in the race. And Treboven, how do we say that? Does anybody know how to properly pronounce the eights? Because the 8 really screwed me over on a ticket. I had Goof underneath, and I think that exactly was going to pay like $8 to $10 domestic spending over Gufo, and I thought that was the biggest slam dunk bet of the day, and just came up short because Rosario was a little slow and lax from the back of the pack. I mean, overall, just maybe one of the worst riding days I've ever seen from Joel, and so that was a little disappointing. But domestic spending, next stop, probably the Arlington Million, and I'm definitely going to be there to see him win it, even though the Million's only being run for $600K. Still a check for Chad. And, then they'll probably point this horse will they train him up to the Breeders' Cup, or are they going to find a good race for him at Saratoga? I think I don't know what the super long turf race is, the one that Annals of Time won a couple of years ago. It's the Sword Dancer, I think is what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they point for that as well. But this horse is just devastating turn of foot wise, just absolutely devastating. And so it's fun to see. And if you had to compare this horse to Bricks and Mortar, who do you think's better? If you had to choose one at this point in both of their careers, obviously Bricks went on to win the Million. He went on to win the Breeders' Cup turf. Domestic spending is not there yet, but if you stack up their resumes so far, I mean, they deserve to be in the same conversation, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, pretty special so far. There's a lot ahead in this kind of 4-year-olds, I would say, turf season this year. I mean, it could be pretty special. And I love that Pratt has the mount. Like, how much I love Flava Flav, and we need the petition to get him on the East Coast. Maybe this will help.
He's riding great right now. He just outclassed everybody except for Jose Ortiz. I was impressed with Jose Ortiz as well over the weekend. But it's kind of all coming together. We're figuring out who the pretenders are and who the contenders are, and so we got to talk a little bit about Colonel Liam. And I think Oldie made a good point that maybe he was just way too close to the pace, and that's what you're going to get out of Luis Saez. He doesn't care who he's on. Luis has taken his horse up, and that was probably the closest Colonel Liam's ever been to a pace, and that was absolutely red hot. And so he didn't have his normal rider. He was maybe a little in over his head. Well, let's be honest. I think domestic spending is a better horse. And so, when what Colonel Liam beat at the Pegasus wasn't all that impressive, then he, has a dead heat at Churchill for the Turf Classic. So, Colonel Liam's a great horse, but he's not domestic spending by any means, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think Colonel Liam's going to pick up his fair share of grade ones, but he's probably going to start dodging domestic spending at all costs.
Well, and we talked about this, and I talked about this a minute ago. I mean, you have domestic spending who just looked dominant and is second off the layoff, and you have Colonel Liam who's in the fifth race of a form cycle, who has been running amazing, but horses cannot keep that up at a high level like this when you have horses coming off a layoff or second off a layoff and coming into a form cycle like domestic spending. So domestic spending catching Colonel Liam, I don't think it mattered whatever happened to Colonel Liam in this race, whether he was up on the pace or not. I don't think anybody was going to beat domestic spending here. But I think I'll be curious, Oldie, if Colonel Liam shows up in the Million. I don't think he will. But I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. I personally wouldn't ship my horse there. I would give somewhat of a layoff and point elsewhere, especially if domestic spending, which I think was confirmed, is going to the Million. For me, that wouldn't be what I would do, but it's not my horse, so.
Not our problem, but
Yeah. Well, and then the Belmont. This was the only other race I bet on Saturday. I ended up landing on Hot Rod Charlie, and I think Pratt knew he had the best horse here. It didn't end up being the best horse because he didn't win. But I think a lot of people are like, gosh, you went to the front. And I'm like, well, Pratt thought he had the best horse and was just going to take the race. I mean, which was, I think, smart. Rock Your World, I think, caused a little bit of probably problems with that, with, up there kind of messing around a little bit. But gosh, Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie were by far the dominant horses here. I never read how many lengths that they finished ahead, but it must have been like 15 or 20 lengths.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And yeah, Rock Your World didn't break. Known Agenda just isn't as good as I thought he was. Regardless of the rider change, Jose Ortiz was still, he won a bunch of races over the weekend. Essential Quality was what Brad Cox said was his Belmont horse from day one. He saw a workout. He goes, "This is my Belmont horse, not my Derby horse." Who just says that? And
Yeah.
lo and behold, let's look at the GSRs and look at where horses finished. You had Rombauer, Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality, and Rock Your World all with 80, 80, 79, 79. Minus the break on Rock Your World, there's your top three, the highest GSRs.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we talk about with the GSR is, okay, a horse doing something new for the first time. Might not be switching surfaces, but is switching distances. And going a mile and a half is not something anybody is ready for until they're in the gate. And you just don't know. This is a marathon type of race. And Essential Quality, I think his class proved it. Credit to Hot Rod Charlie. I just think he got a little bit compromised by Rock Your World. I think Hot Rod's a horse that needs the lead. And if they can place him in a paceless race, let's say the Haskell coming up soon, that might be the race where he can go gate to wire, as there's no whips. And so I think, if you get Pratt out there to ride him, get him out of the gate, and just hand ride him the whole way around, I think that could be a nice prep for the Travers for Hot Rod Charlie is going to the Haskell. I would like to see him there. Rombauer ran about the same race that he did in the Preakness. He was 5-1 and he, outran everybody else that was a pretender. And, the front two were just so far clear that it didn't even matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Scotty on his show had Essential Quality over Hot Rod Charlie, so I know that a lot of people hit that, which I think that with Exacta paid, I think 750 paid 7.5, to 1, which isn't bad. That's pretty good, mainly, Hot Rod Charlie ended up going off at 9-2, which helped there because you had, Rombauer at 5-1, Rock Your World at 5-1, and Known Agenda at 6-1. So helped from an Exacta piece. All right. Well, we're 20 minutes in, so let's dive into this weekend. I know some people message me or like, you got to cover tomorrow for Belmont. You got to cover tomorrow. And like, you heard me say this. It's really hard, you guys, to prep for this and do it on a Thursday. These races on Saturday, like the entries came out yesterday. Like, I don't know what's going on and why we can't get entries on Monday and Tuesday, but both Belmont and Churchill, I think, did not have entries published in Equibase until yesterday, which is just crazy. Like, I don't care about the morning line, but like, let us know the races being run and who's in them. Like, seriously, we can only get that 4 days in advance or 3 days in advance. I don't know. It's tough. So there's no way we were going to be able to pivot to tomorrow because Brady and I had already kind of agreed to look at Saturday, which was still hard because it's like we have a day to handicap, which with a normal day job could make it difficult. But let's you want to look at Belmont first or Churchill for Saturday?
Let's go to Belmont first since we just got done talking about it. Maybe we'll try to go a little quick through these two pick fives and make sure we get them both in.
Yeah, I was. We're not going to cover race 4, but I handicapped a lot of this card already for viewers. In the Belmont 4th, I think the 4 horse is a really interesting long shot, just so everybody, like, if you want to put a note there. And I caught this before our morning line was out. Our morning line at EquinEdge is 9-1 versus the track is 20-1. And everybody knows I love that. But comes from a maiden special weight 2-year-old race. And this was a really good maiden special weight race. Finished 4th out of 8 horses. So just FYI for you, potential long shot there in the 4th. We talked about the late pick 5, so race 6. All right, another main special on the turf. What do you think here? Oh, I remember this race. So, this was an interesting race. From the perspective of I was trying to figure out a single, but where'd you land?
Yeah, I got to throw a quick one in here. So I think I went blank on the screen for about 30 seconds. I just had a buddy call, and as you guys know, I run an insurance company, and my buddy had his car stolen from work about 2 months ago. And all of a sudden, file the police reports and everything like that. Can't find the car. Total loss. They just found the car in California, literally like moments ago.
Like it's okay. Like the car's
it's pretty
drivable.
It's pretty busted up, is from what I understand. Windows knocked out. It was involved in an accident, and so that's how the police finally found it. But to take a car from Chicago area and steal it, I mean, it was involved in like 4 or 5 different felonies, and so accidents and the hit and runs, and now they finally found it 2 months later. So I'll be giving you a call back after the show if he's watching. So it was a nice Jeep too. It was like a 4-door Jeep Grand Cherokee Turbo, whatever. But hey, better late than never. But yeah, so let's talk Belmont late pick 5. So
all right,
here's
race
what I
6.
really like. Race 6, I really love the tool for things like this. So immediately I went ahead and eliminated the 2, 4, and the 9. Those Scotty talks about it all the time on his show. If you're confused on a race that you think might be a little bit wide open, just start eliminating all those horses at 1 or 2%. Okay. Then the next thing that I do when I'm really trying to narrow down with this tool is I look at the EE morning lines. And on the 1, you're showing a higher EE morning line by 10 points than the morning line. And the horse is 30-1. Okay, so I clicked on the horse, didn't really pick up his feet, no response, really no excuse last time at Aqueduct. So that's another toss for me. So now I literally just eliminated about half of the field. So now I'm handicapping a 5-horse race. And so I want to really, this show, kind of get into depth with the viewers on how we're using the tool and what we're thinking when we're handicapping. And so as we see, we've got 2 very high win percentage horses with a 5 and a 6. So those are obviously the top 2 Scotty picks. They're both going to be major players. I really couldn't separate the 2 when I was looking at this race. Okay, should improve off the second start for the 5, infinite potential. And then you get the third start going 2 turns for the second time, coming down from Woodbine for the Pletcher horse. So obviously the 5 and the 6 are the major players. So then what I do is I go ahead and look at the other 3 horses. I looked at the 3 Overlook Road. This is a first-time starter at a quality road. Okay, we have a few works. They're okay. Let's look at this horse's GSR. It's a 62. I've got to consider this horse. Okay, I've at least got to consider it. I look at the 7. Now you can't leave, or now you can't leave. 49 GSR. Tried this last time. Really didn't work out. No rally. I'm not really a fan of a horse in a maiden special weight that's got a 18-point less GSR than a horse that's already ran twice on the surface and has had a lot more success. So for me, I'm eliminating the 7. Then I'm going to look at the 8 American Parade. Okay, we're going dirt to turf. You got Jose Ortiz for Shug and American Pharaoh, which we know run very well on the turf. 4-1 morning line. EE morning line's about the same. So now I'm going over to the GSR Plus on this horse, and I'm going to compare dirt to turf. Well, as we see, this horse should run its best on dirt. He's a 74 on dirt versus a 57 on turf. Okay, and I'm clicking on the turf tab now. He's a 63 going 8.5 furlongs, where he's a 65 going on the dirt. They're saying that this horse is probably going to be better off going on the dirt. So this one's a toss up for me. So what I did there in just 2 minutes of handicapping is I gave myself two options. On an $80 ticket, I'm probably just going to play the 5 and the 6. But if I'm trying to increase the budget to maybe a $160 ticket, probably going to include the 3 and the 8, just because, you know.
Did I lose you? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, now I can't see you. What? Oh, are you back?
Yep, I am back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay.
I'll pick it
says
up.
It lost connection with my camera.
Oh,
yeah, okay, here we go.
there.
Yeah, my camera
You're
just
back.
went out on me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the 5 and 6 were the horses to beat. You know, and then I'm like, okay, I want a single. For me, I was talking to a group of people about this today. When I am in these situations and I like the two favorites, like I just don't like playing them both. I like to force myself to just make a decision and figure it out. And I struggled a little bit with this one. Somebody, Keith mentioned that Angelou, or I think that's probably how you pronounce it, is interesting. And Woodbine horses always burn me, but this horse, this was in the 10 post here and ran really well. And this horse that won this race came back to win a Group 1 or Grade 1. I'm not sure what they call them in Canada. Next out. The problem that I didn't love here was then, I looked at GSR Plus and I'm like, what's going on? Horse definitely wants to go 9 furlongs. For whatever reason, 8.5 is way down here. So then I got conflicted. I didn't necessarily love this maiden special race here and dueled and then tired. If this horse gets loose, it's probably wiring, though, is the issue. I thought that the 9 maybe potentially will end up showing speed here. Has shown speed in the past on dirt, did show speed, sprinting on turf. So I don't know what's going to happen with the 9. For me, I kind of landed on the 5. The problem is, Karina is saying Champion was a female sprinter. I wonder if this horse is a sprinter, the 6. I do. I don't love how she just kind of gave up here. Maybe I'll watch the race, but I think it's a 2-horse race. I think it's the 5 or 6. For me, I'm probably going to try to single one of them in a ticket instead of adding the 2 favorites. If I'm adding, I'm probably dropping one of them and trying to add a horse of value. But that's my kind of thoughts. I ended up probably landing off the 5 or landing on the 5 with Castellano and Chad Brown. But this is tough. Saez, Fletcher. I mean, Louis is going to the lead and going to try to wire this field. Like, I think it's as simple as that. I just wonder if like Karina, if this horse is more of a sprinter than wants to truly go 2 turns. But I don't know. What else? Anything else from you on this?
Not on that race. I think we got it pretty well covered.
All right, the 7th. So 7 furlong, nice little allowance race. What'd you think here?
I think that this Chad Brown horse is going to be way over bet. Intrigued is the 1 horse, and just coming out of a maiden special weight at Churchill Downs was a very good race. Works have been good ever since. Draws the 1 rail and gets the kryptonite Joel Rosario in the reins. Right now, I'm just not a fan of backing some of the horses that he's riding, and he's going to be covered up on the 1 hole. This horse broke his maiden. He broke it from the 6 hole, and so this is going to be a new thing for him. And we're also going a route of 7 furlongs, which is a little bit longer for this horse. So we'll see if he likes to stretch it out. Horse is a top GSR by a mile. So they're saying that the breeding on this horse is very, very good. I think that there's some other players that you're going to want to look at in this race as well. I am not singling Entreat. I'm going to include, but I'm going to try to beat as well. And the next horse that you had to look at was Love and Love. This is Eric Cancel is actually having himself a decent meet. And he's been stepping up. He's been getting some Chad Brown mounts, as a matter of fact. He got the one that finished second to domestic spending. And so this horse shows speed from the inside, which is another reason why I'm not really in love with the one, because the 2 is going to go fly right on past him. And this one horse could get covered up and shuffled back. So the 2 show speed. They're cutting this horse back from a mile to 7 furlongs, which I think the horse is going to appreciate. And especially when a horse shows speed going a mile, they're going to show speed going 7 furlongs and maybe even a little bit more speed than they're used to. So I definitely like the 2 here. I like the 6 Subsidiary. And for more reasons than the last time that we gave out a 15-1 Orlando Noda shot in the slop, I like this horse, and I think he fits here. They've tried this horse sprinting. They've tried this horse going long. He's been hanging around, hitting the board. The thing you got to realize about these Noda horses is that they all of a sudden just pop. So I didn't want to get beat by Subsidiary here. I thought, 4-1 morning line, probably going to get more than that. I thought that horse was deserving of a look. And the Midtown Rose, the 8. You get Castellano up for Saffie Joseph from the outside post. This horse is going to be sitting second or third all the way around the track. And, I think they slow worked this horse last time at Belmont on June 2nd because of the incredibly fast 3 furlong work on May 22nd. So I think that they're kind of saving this horse a little bit. I look for a big performance from Midtown Rose. The 8 is the horse that I would be betting in this race. And so I ended up going 1, 2, 6, 8.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the 8 there. I really like the 8. I like the work pattern there. So, to your point, I mean, look at this. What I look for when I'm looking at works, just my perspective, and I know everybody does things differently, is I like to see a horse that's working kind of on, a weekly, every 7-day basis. So you see that happening kind of through April here again. Then races on May 6th, come back. I mean, won in that race in a 64, and then shows up again with a great work after the race. I think to your point, I would not pay any attention to this June 2nd work. Nothing. I mean, I think this horse is in form. It's, been in a bit of a cycle and then came here and won at 64. I mean, I think this horse is dangerous for Saffie. Brings it up from Gulfstream. I like the 2 as well. The 2 actually was a Scotty Longshot at one point, but then maybe Scotty's joined us. Somebody that must be Scotty. So welcome, Scotty. But has run well at 8 furlongs at Belmont. So maybe does he mean the 8 or the 2? The 2 I liked. I mean, the 2's run really well, 8 furlongs. Cutting back, has speed. To your point, you had already pointed that out. Has won at, missing in the low 60s. This is a 62. Let's is he saying the 8? He must be saying the 8. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I like the 8 and 2. So for me, I didn't love the 1. I was with you. I had the 7. I cut off the 3, 4, and 5. I had the 7 and 9 as well. But that was my thoughts. You know what we should do? So I forgot. Let's put together a pick 5. We'll do it from the start. It's a little bit easier to do that. So let's do $84. Ticket generator wants to do lots of craziness here and add every horse in the first race, and we're definitely not doing that. Let's add just the 5 and 6, and we can decide. I don't know. I think the ticket generator is being a little bit funky. What did you say in this race, Brady? I liked the 2 and 8. Who else?
I thought that the 1 and the 6, and I did like the 6 a little bit here, but like I said, my bet will be the 8 Midtown Rose. I think you're going to get a decent price on him. Scotty Longshot. And I like everything adding up for this horse, for the setup for this race. Saffie's dangerous.
Yeah,
I think this is a perfect Scotty Longshot horse.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do here. Let's move to the 8th. Non-graded stakes. The Dancing Renee. Fierce Lady. Scotty top pick, and then Sadie Lady second pick. I didn't even look. Are these no, they just got similar names. I didn't know if they were coming out of the same, maybe they are coming out of the same family somehow. But what were your thoughts here?
I really liked the 5 Sadie Lady. She was my top pick. Scotty's second pick. This horse is going to show speed and is actually dropping a little bit from a grade 3 down to a non-graded stakes. And so they liked what they saw last time with this horse sprinting 6.5 furlongs. They're going back to 6 furlongs, taking a slight class drop. And I believe that this horse is going to possibly get alone on the lead. And so I really liked the 5 Sadie Lady here. The only other horse that I thought maybe could apply a little bit of pressure was, maybe the 6 Espresso Shot if he goes, maybe the 4 Ruins in Time, but the 4 looks like a little bit more of a cheap speed to me from an SOR perspective. And so I felt like the class of Sadie Lady, the speed that she's going to show up front, second Scotty pick, top GSR play. I really like the 5 a lot here. What did you think, Justin?
Yeah, I like the 1. The 1 is 2-1 on the EquinEdge morning line versus 6-1. The thing about Fierce Lady is I like size on the rail here. I like, essentially, this horse has shown it can be tactical. It has shown speed, but it hasn't worked out well. I don't think that the 5, well, I don't know. I worry that the 5 might get loose. I do think the 4 is quick. And would you say the 6? Who else did you? Yeah, the 6 maybe, but
the 6 is going to show a little bit of speed. The 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 1 could run a really nice trip on the rail and just save ground and end up coming around the 5. The 1, when you look from an SOR perspective, ran great here in a 68, and when you look back, has been running in the mid 60s. When I looked at the 5, was in the mid 60s to 70s. So for me, this was the 1 and 5. I didn't even really look at the Scotty long shot, and maybe that changed because I actually have the 2. Usually I don't get rid of the Scotty long shot usually at any point, but yeah, I mean, Scotty's saying the 4 can get the lead. I think that the 4 can. I would agree. I mean, I don't know if the 5's just going to get the lead. Rosario, though, is Joel going to break for me if I'm hoping that he's going to try to get out of the gate here on the 4, or is he going to ride like he has been and not get out of the gate? But for me, it was the 1 and 5, and I ended up liking the 1 more than the 5.
Well, let's go with the 2 ladies in this race, the Sadie Lady and the Fierce Lady. I just think from a pure class perspective, Sadie Lady, speed up front, class, EE morning line favorite, high win percentage, top GSR, SORs that back up. If she runs the same race that she did in the grade 3, I think that's more than good enough to win this race. But I do like your points on the 1 Fierce Lady as well. Fierce Lady's going to be there.
Yeah. Why don't you start here?
Brittany Russell's a very, very high percentage trainer too.
Yeah, Oldie's saying he's got a bad shoulder, so maybe he doesn't get out of the gate in. Who knows? Why I gotta grab the door real quick. Sorry, y'all, but Brady, why don't you talk about starting here at the 9th at Belmont? I got my AirPods in, so I'm gonna hear you. So hold on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've gone a little skinny in the first couple of legs. We went 2 by 4 by 2 here. So we've got a lot of room in the last 2 races to spread. And I think that the last race number 10, is going to be one that we're going to really want to spread in this maiden claimer. So let's get back to Belmont race number 9. We've got an $80,000 allowance optional claiming for 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs on the turf. And so this is a pretty wide open race to me. And one way that we can know that is just look at the win percentages. For instance, your top win percentage is just 17%. Okay, we've got multiple horses in the teens, and not a whole lot of horses are down at 1% and 2%. So from the win percent algorithm, it's showing that there's a bunch of different chances here. The next thing that I like to do is I look at the EE morning lines. Look at all these EE morning lines. Unless I'm seeing something wrong, the EE morning line favorite is 5-1. And so, that's crazy. That screams wide open. So then, okay, I checked off two of the algorithms, the win percent, the EE morning line. Can I find a class advantage? So when I sort by average SORs, we're seeing everybody's kind of in that same class group from 68 up 74. So I really don't see a clear-cut advantage for a same race SOR of 70. Okay, let's go to the GSR tab. We know that all these horses are going to be turf sprinters. So the GSRs are spread out anywhere from about 65 up to 74. So I really don't see a huge advantage that is going to make me press an opinion on any one of these horses here. And so let's look at who we want to eliminate. I eliminated the 6 and the 9 due to very low win percentages. Okay. Now what we can do is we can just start sorting and going through horse by horse and trying to make a case for some of these. And so I started with the 1 Guildsman. This is horse from France, and they had this horse in a grade 2 turf sprint at Churchill Downs. Really didn't do anything, got shifted out. I'm going to give this horse an excuse. Okay, so I have a note on this horse about a trip note. So I did like the 1 to give him a second chance at a 9-2 morning line. The number 2, Morning Breeze. This horse is coming out of, a little bit less company. And so I really didn't like the 2 here because I felt like this was another step up in class for him that really hasn't been proven yet. Ghoul. Yeah, okay, here we go with Keith. Yes, Keith, I've played this horse a bunch of times too. And my goodness, I just can never. The one time I didn't play him was when it was the day after New Year's Day at Santa Anita, and Joel and him just flew. And I'm like, what happened? Oh, it's Peter Miller and Joel. And, this horse, I feel like he's old as time. 6-year-old gelding, he's been around for forever. I really don't like him in this spot here because I think he may end up being the post-time favorite. Unfortunately, him or Secret Rules. And so, I don't like Ghoul here in a wide open race. I think, you're probably going to get maybe 3-1, 7-2 on him when it's all said and done, but I really don't want a part of that. And so I'm looking elsewhere besides Ghoul. And then Rosario may be having a little bit of a funk. He's just not riding at the level that we are used to seeing him at. And so I'm used to giving some other horse some chances. The 4 horse, I believe, is a main track only. And so as far as we know, everything's going to be on the turf. So I'm eliminating the 4 as well. Let's go to the 5 Battle Station here. Manny Franco for Rob Altris. This horse is coming out of similar races at this level, just a hair below. I think this 5 Battle Station has every right to be considered in this race. And at 7-2, you're probably going to get all of that, if not a little bit more. So I did like the 5 here. I know we're taking a lot of time here, but I'll just go through a couple of others. I'm trying to also beat the 7 Secret Rules. Even though he could be the lone speed, we're going to see how he comes over dirt to turf. If we look at the GSRs, he's only a 52 GSR, and this is a horse that's going to be trying something for the first time. So he's a 20-point horse higher on the dirt than he is the turf. So keep that into consideration on a horse that may end up being your favorite. You have anything to add to this one, Justin? I went through horses about 1 through 7. I know there's a couple more on the outside. Did you have a look here, or did you think it was pretty wide open as well?
Yeah, I did. I thought this was a tough race. I thought that the 1 with Jose, I do not like the morning line, does not like the 1, but I thought this 1 had serious consideration for a long shot. But I agree with everything you've been saying. I think this race is wide open. I think we're going to need coverage. I think we're going to probably be forced to single in either race 6 or race 8 is my guess, but we'll decide here in a second. But I agree with everything you're saying. I struggled to cut off the 11 even with the wide post, but I started to realize that there are at least 3 main track entries, or 4 maybe. And so I think the 11 and 12 even have a shot. I think that the 12 can sit a really nice trip. I think it's going to end up being in like the 9 hole, if I remember correctly. I should have wrote a note, but I think there's 3 or 4 main track onlys in this race.
Yeah, this is wide open. And so, I mean, if you ask me who we're going to take here, I think you got to take the 1. I think you have to. Man, I didn't like the 2 that much. You have to look at the 5. I think the 5 is going to be my top pick in this race. I think you got to have him. If we can't find any more speed in this race, I mean, who else is going to go? The 10's probably going to apply some speed. The 11's not going to go. The 12's not going to go. The 7, even though he might not like the turf, could be the lone speed. That's the only worry I have about the horse that's got a terrible GSR. And so I liked kind of 1, 5, 10, 11. I mean, that would have been the 4 horses I would go with, trying to beat 2 of the favorites here.
Yeah, I was 1, 3, 5, 8, 11, 12. You say like the 10? The Broberg Cancel horse?
I did like the 10 Corky. Let's look at this 8. Ladies bring up a good point here. This 8 is coming off of a huge layoff. This horse he won the Futurity at Belmont as a 2-year-old, and then went in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint and didn't have it that day. Has always been a ton of. I mean, look, this horse never gets bet. 68 to 1, 15 to 1, 19 to 1. I mean, that's horrible. Coming out of a really, really solid couple of works up at Saratoga. I don't know a whole lot about this trainer, but if they pointed for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint and then have this horse on the shelf, yeah, this 8 needs to be looked at. I agree with these ladies.
Yeah, the eight is like super sneaky and shouldn't be, because the horse just gets dismissed with these odds, and the same thing is probably going to happen this horse. And I don't know that trainer either, but this is obviously a nice racehorse. I mean, no, it didn't. He didn't run in the turf sprint, but I didn't watch the race, or it was in the 12 post, which is going to be tough anyways. But it is definitely in consideration here in an allowance race, especially coming off the layoff. I'm trying to, the 11. It's the Scotty long shot's the problem, and like these are the situations where it's like, you could never see this horse winning. I mean, you have Lascano on the turf. I don't think you can get rid of the 11 with Lascano on the turf here for George Weaver hitting at 27%. There's nothing about the way that I look at in handicap that I necessarily love this horse. Other than when you look, this horse could show speed from the outside. So I don't know how Lascano usually rides on the turf, but I think this horse, the races where you look and you're like, nobody's going to show speed are the situations where you get 3 or 4 horses all of a sudden show speed. And that's why I think the 1 is really dangerous. I think Jose could give the 1 a really good ride, but there's no way I would toss Lascano here. I mean, ran in a 68 at 6 furlongs, was wide, didn't rally, but was bet. Like, okay, was wide. This is a 70, so here was routing. Okay, get rid of the synthetic. Get back to Belmont on the turf here. Ran in a grade 3 70. This is a 70 allowance, but ran a respectable 5th. Won here and romped at 6.5. This horse wants to sprint on the turf. So when you look at that, get rid of the synthetic, get rid of the route, ran a respectable race here wide. There's no way I could leave off the 11. And then the 12, I think the thing here, and again, keep in mind, I don't think these horses are going to have super wide posts because the main track only entries are going to scratch. Has been running in the mid 60s. This is a big step up for the 12, I guess is what I would say. Like, it's lightly raced though, so I think the 12 is dangerous, but the morning line odds hate the 12. So I could see cutting the 12. For me, I like probably the 1, 5, 11, the 3 a little bit, and the 8. I didn't like the 10 a lot for Broberg, but
let's swap the 8 with the 10.
Take the
Or
8
the
out
10
and
with
put
the 8,
the 10
sorry.
in?
No. I meant the other way around.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Take the 10 out, put the 8 in. I agree with the ladies. Good call, ladies.
Do we need the 3 or no? No. We're getting
You
rid of
know,
Rosario and
I think it's toss Rosario time with this horse. And so I thought this was the opportunity to toss who I think is probably going to be two of the favorites. This is our price leg. The winner may be 8 to 10 to 1 here with any of these selections.
I'm with you. All right. Well, so before we go to the last race, unless you have some lock of a horse here in the last race, I think we're going to have to single somewhere. We're going to have to single race 6, or we're going to have to single in race 8, which was tough because I think those are both tough races. But let's talk the last race. I thought that the 3 horse was really interesting here, Lascano again. But when you look here, they're on the turf. This horse has had way wide posts in both these races on the dirt. Then ran a respectable 4th here. First time blinkers. They leave the blinkers on in a 50 on the turf. Like this 3, Scotty said the 3s has a lot of issues, hard to leave out for him. He must be taught. You're talking in the last race, Scotty? You're gonna make us add the 3 back. Okay. Well, okay, the 3 is back. We're still singling and have to single somewhere. But what do you think in the 10, Brady?
I really liked a couple of first-time starters. I know we're on the toss Rosario train a little bit, but Clement's been working this 6 horse super slow, and it's a first-time starter. I looked for first-time starters in a crap field. Let's be honest. These horses in this field are horrible. I mean, look how many chances a lot of these horses have had. We take the 13, for instance, has been running for a long time and has had a lot of chances on the same surface to break his maiden and has been running at these levels before. He has some seconds, he has some fourths, but I look at trying to beat a favorite like the 13. If you look at his SORs and the same race SORs, he's facing the same horses that he's running 4th and 6th against as well. So I think we have a chance to beat the 14 here. I looked at the 6, Bari. Okay. I looked at the 2, Sweet Fanny Lou. Okay. I thought she's coming out a lot tougher races. Okay. I liked her GSR. This is actually a class drop for the 2 as well. I looked at the 4. The 4's been running respectable against these, and it's a sprint to route change. You get Jose Ortiz. This horse shows speed sprinting. This is the horse that I think may be on the lead. And so I really liked the 4 in this spot as well. I tossed a bunch of these other horses here. I took a look at the 8, Fatoria for James Bond and Luis Saez, another first-time starter that I wanted to definitely get a look at from a GSR perspective. And so I take the 2 first-time starters, the 6 and the 8. I really like the 4 here. I think the 4 is going to be my top selection.
Yeah, I liked the 3, the 4. I caught your 2, and the 8. So, dude, we're spot on here. So, I like the 3. You didn't talk a lot. I do think the 3 is gonna, again, I think the GSR, when you look at GSR plus, kind of both sides, turf and dirt, I think ran well, gets an inside post now. I think the 3, this is not a great field, like you said. I think the 4 is very interesting. So you said the 6 and 8 as well?
I did. I like those 2 first-time starters. In a field that's garbage like this, got to look at the firsters. I'll be betting the 4, though.
Well, the ticket generator. So I guess there's our ticket for 160. So to get back to $80, we have to single somewhere. So there's a bigger ticket if somebody wants to play a bigger ticket without a single. So you like the 5, right? In race 8?
I did.
That's
I did.
Sadie Lady.
Sadie Lady.
And then
I
go ahead.
I said with a speed and class perspective, I thought the 5's the horse to beat Sadie Lady. Because I
Yeah,
couldn't decipher between the 5 and the 6 in the first leg. And so for me in race 6, I couldn't decide between the two favorites, the 5 and the 6. And so I thought that they were pretty evenly matched. And then so if I had to choose a leg to single in, I think that race 8 would be the one I would prefer.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave it at that for users. I don't know. I'll have to look at this some more. If I was going to have to single one, I was originally leaning towards singling the 5 in race 6 if I had to single a horse.
Chad.
Mainly, yeah, and it's more. I wonder if Angelou is a sprinter. I really do. You know, I think. I know Cindy likes all types of other horses here. She likes the 4. I think she's saying the 4, the 7, and the 9. I don't know though if she's talking this race. I mean, the 9's 1%, Cindy, and then Cindy, are you talking in the last race, Cindy, or are you talking in the first race? You can't be talking in the third race or in race 6. But and Scotty's saying the 1 is tough. I'm guessing he's talking. I don't think he's talking about David Duncan Lascano. Maybe he's talking about the 1 in leg 3. No, Cindy likes the 4 in the first, and that's the Scotty long shot. I mean, go ahead.
One thing to add about the first race is that Angelou, the 6 horse, is getting Lasix for the first time. So we could see an improvement there as well with the 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scotty, I think the 1 is tough in race 8. I think that I think the 4 is going to show speed, and I worry about that with Sadie Lady. I don't know. We'll let viewers choose where they want to single, though, if they want to only play an $80 ticket. For me, I'm probably singling the 5 in the first. You're singling the 5 in the third leg. We like 5s, so I don't know, maybe single both of them, and you'll get a really cheap ticket.
There you go. I'd leave it at that. Let the viewers decide, and go from there. This is a tough sequence, and I think that this ticket will pay. Regardless of who wins there, because of how spread out the final 2 races are in this sequence. And so this makes for a great betting race. And if we can beat the 1 in race number 7, this ticket, could potentially pay nice. And I think we will. If we can get Midtown Rose home, that would be the horse that I'd be keying around. And so what I might do is play a little pick 3 here. Because sometimes when I'm looking at pick 5s that are going to cost $160 for 50 cents, I'll look at, look how skinny I was in the first 3 legs. So I'll go back to leg number 1, and I'll probably use the 5 and the 6. Then in leg number 2, I'll be probably singling Midtown Rose in a $5 pick 3. And then I'll probably single Sadie Lady or use Fierce Lady and Sadie Lady. Why not use both of them? So there you have a $4 ticket for $1. And so, play it 5 times or for $5. And, you've got a nice little ticket for a fraction of the price. And then, get a little bit creative on getting your cost down on your pick 5. And so so many times we hit the first 3 legs in a sequence, but we just can't get the 5th leg or the 4th leg home in these pick 5s. How many times do we hit 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 in a pick 6? So if you have a strong opinion in one of the 2 races that me and Justin are talking about singling in, use both or single, play a backup pick 3, so that way, if we're really right with Midtown Rose, then we have an opportunity to cash and maybe be live in our pick 5 as well.
Yeah, this I think to your sequence, good sequence. This could pay really well. I mean, even if you get one of the favorites here in the first leg, Scotty says we can leave the 6 out in race 7. You like Subsidiary here. That's the Noda horse, but
it's the Noda angle. It's the Noda angle for me. Horses that shouldn't win in certain spots sometimes just pop up and do under this barn. So I see it happen all the time at a price. Not a whole lot of time do you get Noda winning as the favorite, but when he's going to be like 8 to 10 to 1, that's usually the time where he's popping up. So the horse scared me on a ticket like this, and I'll agree he's a little bit outclassed in some of his races. And for a same race SOR perspective, the horse does show speed. Doesn't get a prominent jockey, so I don't know. The horse just kind of scared me like it did a couple of weeks ago with the 8 on the slot. But I like
Yeah,
Midtown Rose
Cindy.
here.
Yeah, I do too, and I think love and love. Cindy, I see your comment there on the ticket generator. Like, I mean, if that ticket on the ticket generator hits, you're going to be rolling in cash again. I'm not sure. Maybe the ticket generator just knows something we don't know, which is common. But I saw when we started here and did the ticket generator, it was doing all types of funky stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it knows something we don't know. All right, we're at an hour, so we still got to cover Churchill though, and we're gonna do that. So let's jump over there. Late pick 5. We're starting with a maiden special. Oh, I guess I didn't look at the first race, so you're gonna have to carry us through here. I must have either that or my notes are
Yeah,
gone. I don't know,
you
one
would
or
want to
the
look
other.
at the the races at Churchill, a bunch of maidens. And so I really keyed in on the 9th race. That's the Old Forester Mint Julep Stakes, the one with Juliet Foxtrot. I thought that was definitely the most interesting race on the card. And in this sequence, there are 2 maiden special weights as well. So you're going to have some disparity in the sequence here at Churchill. And I don't know, where are your thoughts at, Justin? Do you think we can beat Juliet Foxtrot this week?
I thought that Henry. Oh, this is. I mentioned this to you. So, in this race, I saw this immediately. So this 4-horse Vespa. So this was back at the end of April. This was right before the Derby. It was like a Wednesday. I think it was a Wednesday at Churchill. And I was sitting here. It was, and I was looking at this, and I'm like, holy shit, excuse my language. Like, this horse is so live, and I wish that I would have put my notes in here, but the morning line was way off. The morning line was like 15 to 1 or 12 to 1, and EquinEdge had it 6 to 1. And this horse went off at 32 to 1 and ended up paying over another horse that was like 15 to 1. And I hammered away on this exacta, and it paid like 596 to 1 or something. And I think I had it for like 10 or 15 bucks or something. So, when you look at that race, was a 70 SOR and lightly raced, came out of, I ended up looking where this was. I'm guessing it's Paulo Lobo. I'm guessing this is South America. I had to look up the meters because I'm like, how many meters to furlongs is this? And you see the same thing here. This horse is 10 to 1 on the EquinEdge morning line from a 30 to 1 morning line. Like, I don't know. Maybe this thing can cash twice for me, but I have a little bit of love for Vespa here. I think Hendy Woods is interesting, though. I think that Hendy Woods or Vespa could upset Juliet Foxtrot. She's quick, but I think there's some speed in this race. And Karina, thank you. 200 meters is 1 furlong, and I'll never have to look it up again. What do you think? I mean, I know you like Juliet, but can she be beat?
I think so. I think this is the spot where I'm going to try to beat her because of all the speed, as you mentioned in this race. We have a horse, an old Baffert trainee in Crystal Ball. It was not too long ago when we were seeing this horse win, races on the dirt, going to the front. And I expect nothing less from jockey James Graham going to the front end like he likes to do with just about anybody. So the 9's going to show speed. The 7's going to show speed. In his her last 3 efforts, she's gone gate to wire. So why would they try to take Flash and Dance out of her normal self? I think the 11, she's on the warpath. I got to see this horse win at Indiana Grand. This is also going to show speed. I think it's going to be up there, and I think that they're going to be close, pushing the pace. The 6 Dominga, I also believe, will be up there as well. So we've got 5 horses, including Juliet Foxtrot, that all want to be on or close to the front. And so if we look at the Jenny Wiley Turf Classic for Juliet Foxtrot, last time out, she had an uncontested lead all the way around the track. I don't look at that as a bottle test. It was a grade 1, yes, and, she finished 3rd in the matriarch, but she's not going to have it all her own way. Does Juliet Foxtrot outclass this field every single day of the week? Absolutely. But if there was only maybe 2 or 3 speed horses in this race, I wouldn't be worried. There's 5 speed horses in true speeds in this race. So I looked at the Scotty Longshot Handy Woods. I thought I'm giving her a great shot because of how she trips out. Okay. She's been going against, adequate competition at this level. Has a couple of races, one race that's way above the same race SOR in the Edgewood at Churchill. And so, has won on this track before. I think the 3 is going to sit the best trip, but you are trusting flow to come from off the pace, which is not something that I normally like to back. And so I think that the 3 trips out the best. The horse that I think can really run underneath potentially is the 10 Sister Hanan. I'm not looking at her as a win contender on all tickets, but she's shortening up, and where she likes to win at is going a mile to a mile and a 16th. So I felt like that the 10 was worth a look underneath in some of your exactas and tries with Handy Woods on top.
Yeah, I just don't trust Juliet here with all this speed. I'm gonna be cheering for Paulo Lobo and Joe Talamo again on Vespa. I mean, lightly raced. I want to look back at this race. I mean, this may be too tough for her as a 5-year-old mare, but I don't know. I mean, it was pretty impressive last time. It was first time Lasix, but I'm with you on a potential upset, and I think there is a lot of speed here. I was just looking. Sister Hanan, I think I didn't really. If you look at her last race going 11 furlongs on the speed, which I can't imagine that that's going to happen here. When you go back to these 8.5 furlong races, they were in the 60 SOR. So I'm like, okay. The thing that I like about her, though, although I don't know how Lannery rides on the turf, but I love Lannery, who is going to end up giving her a really good trip, probably. Is likely going to get over, save ground, come flying late. I think, to your point, she's a definite use underneath. I think this is a great race from an exotic standpoint. Even if you like Juliet Foxtrot, there's a potential to get a lot of value underneath. But, as you mentioned, I think the Scotty Longshot's like legit here, Handy Woods. There's no way we're getting 6-1. The system has her at 3-1. And, I went back here and look at this Churchill race, ran an 80 in the Edgewood, ran second out of a 7-horse field, and comes back here and runs in a grade 1 at Keeneland. Comes second off the layoff. I get Juliet second off the layoff too, but I think this horse can improve. I mean, Cindy, I think they already would, but it's not on here. So I thought that they usually do that when they put in entries, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm with you on the 3. It looks like Scotty likes the 3 as well.
And Cindy, are you asking why do they list the rail at different distances? For instance, Gulfstream Park, until they just started new construction on the Tapeta track, they'll list it out. If the rail's out 30 feet, 60 feet, 90 feet, and it will really affect the tightness of the turns. And so they'll take a look at track conditions. And so if there's a part of the turf course that's pretty beat up from races, or maybe it's been wet or something like that, they'll adjust it. And so, you could have very sharp hairpin turns, or you could have big winding wide turns. And so we see those 2 configurations playing a lot different for closers against closers, for speed horses against speed horses.
Yeah, and I think I think she's asking what Scotty was saying was, when does it actually get released on what the rail is going to be set? A lot of
Mhm.
times, though, I see it in the either in the tool or in the PPs, but Scotty was saying maybe the night
Mhm.
before, or sometimes the day of. So he says Tyler's off the 3 after a win to ride the 2. But Scotty, I think that Tyler's rode the 2 in the past. As well.
Mhm.
So, um, I guess that makes sense. Do you want to do a pick 5 here real quick, or what are you thinking, Brady?
Doesn't matter to me. I thought that was definitely the race that we definitely needed to take a look at because I felt like there was a very vulnerable, even money favorite. I mean, Juliet Foxtrot will be odds on. So I thought you could spread a little bit. We can go through it pretty quick if you want to. Um, I put in an $80
What?
ticket
Yeah.
and
What?
I singled Hendy
I.
Woods.
All right, let's do it. I'm with you. And
I
maybe it can come.
in that
Maybe it can come 3-4. The 3 over the 4 would be amazing.
Yeah. What I did was I looked at the top GSR horses, and the one that really stood out to me was the one for Santana and Asmussen moving forward. You know, this horse is coming out of another $100,000 maiden special weight, and so if this horse gets Lasix for the first time last time out, shows speed on the front end, I think that this 13 horse is absolutely the horse to be in the first race, and it is a little bit of chalk, but the other one, look at this top Scotty pick, Ducale. Brad Cox, Tyler Gaffleone, out of Twirling Candy. They have been working this horse. And this is a Juddmonte horse. So, I mean, they have been working this horse since the beginning of April, and they're just now in the middle of June putting this horse to the track, and they really haven't missed a beat on the workouts. So for me, I was just going to be going 4 and 13 in this leg to get it off.
System like the 2, and then the 10. All right, we're just going 4 and 13 then. I'm rolling with you. All right,
Yeah, the
and
other one was
then
A Lucas horse, so I wasn't really too into that one. You going to leg 2 now, race 8?
race 8. Yep.
Yeah, so the system looks like it liked the 1, which I'm a huge fan of. I like the 1 a lot. I like Albert Stall horses, and I don't mind the rail draw for this 1. The system also gives the 9 a little bit of a look out of Frosted. Tom Drury, Brian Hernandez Jr. So I definitely wanted to give the 9 a look. I thought the 12 was going to be very tough from the outside with Flo. And then I also looked at, let's see here. I didn't Scotty Longshot's working really good, and he's 15-1 morning line. I did give the 6 Flounders Day a look as well. So in this leg, I went 1, 9, or 1, 6, 9, 12. But I think, you got to give the 10 a look as well. Run Happy, not the best sire, but, I felt like the 10 also matched. What did you see here?
Yeah, I really like the 10, but I really like the 2. So we'll talk about the 2 in a second. So Gabe Sayas for John Ortiz on this
Mm-hmm.
10 horse. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, 3-year-old filly ran in a 76 stakes race and ran second. It was a 5-horse field, but I mean, that's legit right there. I didn't get a chance to look at but a 76 SOR, I didn't get to see who was in that race yet. And then came back here and almost wins in the grade 3, Miss Perkins in a 66. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, why is the 10 not in the Scotty picks? I mean, there's no way you can leave the 10 off. The 6, is 5-1 on the morning line versus 15-1 on the track. I do think we need to add the 2, so I'm going to add the 2. We're not adding the 4, but the 2 with Landry I thought was really interesting. So going to be a price. But I think 9-1 on the morning line versus 15-1, and you look here and stretching out to 7 furlongs likes, from a GSR perspective, the extra furlong here. Won in the 60 here and just missed, placed third in a 9-horse field at 6.5 and a 74. And, if I'm going to grab a price at any point, I love Lannery at Churchill. I just do. And I think lightly raced, this horse can improve. She really can. So for me, the 2 and 10 were very dangerous. The 10 is going to be, probably 3-1 on the morning line. The 2 is going to be 10-1. And I just love the 2 here. So we're going to add the 2. Oh, I got rid of the 6. So we got to add the 6 back. Let me lock that. And 1, 2, 6, 9, 12. We're singling Hendy Woods. Go to the 4th leg. What'd you think here?
I thought we could beat Southern Passage. This is one of your angles, Justin, where you look at the morning line 3-1, EE morning line 12-1. Auto toss. Dale Roman's favorite auto toss.
I had already cut the horse.
You didn't.
I'm like,
sorry, you're going to the B team.
Yeah, he did.
That's funny. So yes, I liked the 3 inside horses. The 3 really could be the best of the best here. I mean, I think they found something last time out. They added blinkers to the horse. And so that was a good gelding. And so the 3 is the horse to beat, in my opinion. But you can't leave out Mr. Tip. Look at the 2 here. We got Tyler Gaffleone from Mike Maker. Race is fit, has been knocking on the door. They keep on going kind of back and forth. I think this horse actually prefers the dirt better. So I did use Mr. Tip. Warrior in Chief from the rail, Brian Hernandez, is probably going to be sending this horse. So I did like the 1 showing speed here and has gotten played also. And I looked at the Scotty Long shot here, the price play. Mike McCarthy, who, by the way, just won Grade 1 with Smooth Like Straight and a race that's called the Preakness, if anybody's ever heard of that one. So I did like the Scotty Long shot here, Greener Pastures as well. So my ticket consisted of tossing the Romans favorite and going 1, 2, 3, 5. What say you?
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and I love this sequence here. I'm going to be playing a 2-2 daily double that's going to pay stacks if it hits, and then I'm going to play a little bit of coverage in the first leg into the 2, and then vice versa. But I'm going to play some extra on the 2 here with Lannery. Oh no, what am I talking about? I'm playing a pick 3 then, so I'm going to have I think this pick 3 can pay huge. So, I like Platinum Sky here. Probably add a little bit of coverage. I like Hendy Woods, play some stuff around, probably put Vespa on a ticket, and then also play Mr. Tip. I think you're 100% getting one of these prices we talked about in these first 3 legs. This is a great sequence here. So, but I'm with you on the 1, 2, 3, 5. I like the 2 a ton. You look at Mr. Tip here, Gaffleone for Maker. Maker claimed this horse back here at Gulfstream. So anytime I see Mike Maker, I'm like, when did Maker claim this horse? And not that all his horses are claims, but I do want to know. And so you'll see here, 20,000 claimer here. Maker claimed here. Put him on the turf. GSR Plus says you don't want the turf, which Maker didn't know, but Maker figured it out quickly. Put him on a 50,000 starter allowance here, so same level at Belmont. Now comes over to Churchill. Broke out, was 4 to 5 wide on the churn in the 9 post as the favorite. Went off as the favorite. I'm all day. I haven't watched this race yet, so I need to. This is probably my best pick of the day would be Mr. Tip, probably would be my guess. I want to watch this race, but this is pretty sick right here because as you talked about, I cut the 4, I didn't even have it. And then, it is tough to come back in a maiden claimer, let alone break your maiden, but to come back and run an allowance and win is very tough. But I think the 3 is tough. The 1, I think, has a legit shot to wire in this race. But I think that Mr. Tip and Gaffleone for Maker, if you're getting, I don't even guess I care the price. You're probably going to get 3-1, though, would be my guess. But definitely, I I'm all over Mr. Tip here. All right, we're 25 minutes past like normal. We need to, I guess this show is going to have to be called like Action Hour and a Half or something. But I didn't get to this race. Like I didn't get to the first or the last race. So you're going to have to help us here in the last. It only wants to give us 3 horses. So we're either going to have to cut out of the 4th leg if we want to add more, or we're only going 3 deep here.
I used 4 horses here. I used the 2, 3, 4, and 6, and the 3 is really the standout to me. It is Chad and Tyler, and so it's a horse that's out of Bernardini, and so this horse is going to get played. This horse is probably going to be your favorite, but don't sleep on the 2 Kizzy B. This is a ghost zapper filly. The flow's going to be getting on, and one of those horses that is stepping down a little bit in competition. From her last effort, which may or may not be good enough to win this race. I thought that the Scotty Longshot was worth a look because it is a first-time starter. And like we talked about earlier, I like those first-time starters that are coming in against horses that have a chance to prove themselves. In my opinion, either the 3 kicks away or we get one of these other horses like the 2, 4, or the 6 home. The only other horse that I looked at was the 5 because of the works, but they're bringing this horse back to the dirt from the turf because the turf didn't really work out all that well. And so the 5 is kind of a toss-up to me on if the 5 is a true racehorse or just a one that dazzles in the morning.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing on the 5, ran really well here at Churchill in a 58, just missed. And to your point, it's been on the turf and gets back to the dirt. So, I guess we're playing $120 then. That's the ticket because I think you need to have the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So Slim in the first, singling against Juliet. Lots of coverage. I mean, this ticket's gonna pay, brother. I mean, if this thing can hit, like even if you get chalk in the first leg, there's potential here that you have a lot of nice coverage, and this thing could pay good, especially beating Juliet. And I think we talked about some horses we really like. So for viewers, like, feel free to change it up a little bit. Like, I really love Mr. Tip. Like, I don't know, I might even single Mr. Tip. I don't know. But I also love the 2 as a price in race 8. Probably not singling there, but for me, to be honest, there's a good chance where I might single Mr. Tip in a ticket that I have, or play them both, and change it up a little bit and add different singles. I know there's a lot of people that like to do that and play a couple different ticket structures and stuff like that. And this, for me, the thing I like about Mike is in a situation like this, a lot of people are going to be spreading in this race and in the race 10. And that's like, if I can find a horse and you're probably going to get 3-1 here, but I like that because I'm like, okay, I'm going to single and I can find my coverage elsewhere. Especially when I have a strong opinion. So, but we're at time. What else, brother? Anything else to add?
I got rid of my beard for the first time in 3 years.
I knew there was something different.
That's gone.
I only saw you for a minute, and I'm like, something's different, and that was it. You were like freshly shaved.
Yeah. We had some important meetings this week, and so we're trying to do some business, so I had to look serious. But I'm sure the beard will be back sooner than later.
All right, brother.
So yeah, good luck to everybody that's playing this weekend. Yeah, we'll do it again next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Mike, Cindy, everybody. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're both on Twitter. Hit us up if you have questions. We'll be around. Talk to y'all soon.
See ya.